Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Apolla's Odyssey. It is good to be here after a week of being very ill. Unfortunately, I missed my last show, the last Wednesday show, due to being sick. I actually was at the Conscious Life Expo. I made it to one day, and then it kind of hit me in the middle of that. I'm not sure if I had, the what virus, but I'm not really sure, but I dealt with it for about a week. Kind of hit me in the middle of the Conscious Life Expo, unfortunately. So I wasn't able to do my second talk at the event, and if anyone came by my booth after I was gone and was wondering why I wasn't there, that is why. So it was quite the weekend, quite the week. But fortunately, I've been better for a few days now, 4 days now. And after tonight's show, I'm actually heading straight out to Arizona for Disclosure Con. So I'm really excited about this weekend. If you're in the Arizona area, make sure you come out to the event and check it out because we have a really incredible lineup. I'm gonna get into that here. Yeah, everyone's saying, "Hey, where have you been?" Yeah, I was sick a week ago, unfortunately. And my other show only streams to that particular radio network. So right now, I'm just doing one show a week. Hopefully, I can do some more like side shows just here on YouTube. Besides Aftermath, right now, obviously I'm streaming to Aftermath, but to my YouTube viewers who are wondering where I've been, I do plan on doing maybe some more shows exclusively to YouTube. And to my Aftermath listeners, please go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Apollo's Odyssey. And to my YouTube viewers, please go ahead and check out the Aftermath FM app because there's a lot of really incredible radio show hosts there. And I definitely recommend checking it out. I believe it's only like $6 a month. You just download it. Or maybe it was free to download. I'm not sure. I should know this. I hope my producers aren't shaking their heads listening to this right now. So this is going to be quite the show tonight. I have Michael Lee Hill on with us, and he has had quite the life. And he's been on the History Channel for having this interesting bloodline lineage, and he has some really amazing connections with the Native Americans. And I just love talking to him. So it's going to be a really fun show. And tonight we're going to get into the 7-pointed star that's been appearing in crop circles, how that relates to the morning star. And we're going to discuss the Mitchell Hedges Crystal Skull because we both met it recently. So I'm really excited about that. It just so happens we both met the skull recently. So this should be really interesting. I'm really excited to get into this. And it's so good to see everyone in the chat tonight. Oh my gosh, I feel like it's been forever. I'm just so happy to be back. It's being sick for a week. You really realize how amazing it is to just be alive and well. It's like you take that for granted normally when you're just feeling normal. You're just like, a lot of people just kind of take it for granted until something bad happens. You go through something and then you're like, man, I really wish I was just feeling okay. So, it definitely gives you some appreciation for life, that's for sure. Uh, and YouTube just came out with a ban on anyone that is questioning or talking about those shots out there. So I guess that's all I have to say about that, and I'll just leave that at that. That's pretty crazy. We got the thought police out there, and apparently it's not okay to question things anymore. It's just not. And that is unfortunate. Okay, so before I bring on our guest here, I want to show you guys my art. Well, to the radio viewers, please go ahead and check out shamanspears.com if you want to support my show. At this point, I do not have any sponsors. The way that I fund myself and keep myself going is by selling my art. So if you would like to donate to my show, purchasing my art is basically like a way of donating to my show and getting a free gift in return. I make these really incredible handcrafted energy channeling devices, which I call shaman spears. I invented them myself. They're bamboo. So the bamboo is hollow. They're kind of like a mix between wands and spears, and they are filled with magnets, copper coils, crystals, and sand and collect from sacred places around the world, magnets and naturally magnetic hematite sand. There's also crop circles that have been found around the world painted on them, and ancient Egyptian glyphs. To my viewers out there that can watch visually right now, I'm showing the Shaman Spears minis. I also have some mini versions. I have some really amazing headdresses, feather headdresses that I don't know, I somehow just channeled these myself. They're kind of like a mix between feather headdresses and like, I don't know, some sort of gladiator headpieces. Everyone asked me, they're like, how did you make those? Like, where did that come from? I'm like, I don't know. Like in my mind, I had something completely different in mind, and I just started making them, and then this is what happened. So these headdresses can actually fit to any head size, and they're very lightweight. I have some really incredible I Believe in Humans t-shirts that have the Apollo's Odyssey show logo on the back, and really amazing orgonite energy devices. So go ahead and get to shamanspears.com and check those out. And Michael Lee Hill here has some really incredible energy devices as well. So I'm going to go ahead and show those, but he'll be talking about these throughout the show. And I'll let him explain these for you. But man, I have some of these devices and they are so incredible. They really are. Definitely recommend them. Also, before we bring the guest on, to those of you who are out west and want to come out to Disclosure Con, see these amazing speakers this weekend and join me this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. I will be speaking at 9:30 a.m. I'm the first person on the lineup. We have a lot of really incredible speakers here. John D'Souza, Jim Goodall, Mike Barra, Ben Chastain from Edge of Wonder, a lot, Leap Project, Rex Berry from Leap Project. A lot of interesting people are going to be at this event, so it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time. We're going to have the fireside chat for the VIP pass holders and really cool after party. I might come out dressed as an alien. Who knows? It happened last year. It might happen again. So this is the site is disclosurecon.com if you want to go ahead and check that out and see if you can make it to the event this weekend. This is in Pine Top, Arizona, by the way, which is on White Mountain, I believe. And that is an hour from the Phoenix airport. If you would like to last minute decide to purchase a ticket and fly in, you can totally do that. I'm sure there's plenty of room still. All right, let's bring our guest on here.
Hey, Apolla.
Hey, Michael. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you. Sorry you weren't feeling well.
Oh, it's okay. You know, it was a bit of a rough week. I'm not sure if I had the thing that's been going around, but it was definitely some weird symptoms, but I am all good now. And, you know,
Right on.
just
I would like to
happy be
say,
alive.
people do need to do a little research. CBD, cannabis, said to stop it in its tracks. It can't replicate in the
Really?
lungs. Yes, just Google it. And I'm thinking, why isn't this all over the news? I'm like, oh, no money can be made, really. But
Yeah,
we'll leave that subject alone.
right. Especially with, you know, what came out today. I guess we got to leave that subject alone.
Yeah.
I did take some CBD in the middle of it though, and when I was having some body pains, and I definitely did get better after that.
Right
It took
on.
a
It's
while, but yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, lots of scientific data coming in to back that up as well. Like I said, just Google it and you'll find just a lot of science behind it. And it was Chief Golden Light Eagle. He's like, marijuana has a million uses and it's all positive. He said the Pleiadians brought it here.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's interesting. I actually stopped smoking like a year ago, a couple years ago, and I never thought that would happen. But I totally, I have no, you know, I think it's amazing. People like I did it for years, and I definitely love CBD. So, For some reason, when I took a break for a couple weeks and I just couldn't smoke it again after that. But my lungs were getting pretty bad. I smoked cigars when I was younger, and I just did that way too much. So,
Right on.
yeah, and definitely out here in the West, here in LA, it's like so many people have like make these treats with weed in it. A lot of
Mhm.
times I'll be at an event and I'll just eat something, like a piece of
Mhm.
cake laying out on a table, and I end up in for a surprise. That happens
Yes,
pretty
indeed.
often.
I've had the same thing happen. One of it was actually at a concert I was promoting and playing at, and I ate a brownie, and a little bit later I was like, "Oh my, that was a
You
little
didn't
bit
know it's
more than
that
I
kind
was
of brownie.
expecting."
That's
The
hilarious.
show must go on, though.
Yeah, someone told me one time if you take the ticket, you got to go for the ride.
Yes, indeed.
So tonight's show, I'm really excited to get into the Mitchell Hedges Crystal Skull with you because I know we
Yeah.
both met it recently, and I don't know if you want to start with that or the connection you found between the Morning Star and the Seven-Pointed Star. I
Well,
guess
I can. You met Bill as well, right? Bill Hammond, the current guardian of the
yes, yeah.
skull. Yeah.
I actually met him, I believe it was at the end of August, I believe. No,
Hmm.
the end of July. Oh
Yeah.
no, I'm sorry. It was the first week of like the first or second week of August. I went to a retreat in Mount Shasta and I ended up he actually it was just like a small group of people and it was kind of like it was like an Akashic Records kind of retreat and it was actually really intense. We had to go into like childhood traumas and things like that. And a lot of the retreat had to do with him bringing out the crystal skull and letting us meditate with it
Mhm.
and having some personal time with it, and it was really interesting. Bill is an interesting character. I could listen to stories from him for days. Oh my gosh. And
Yeah, he's
we did
cool.
some like vortex tours and stuff like that, and man, I just feel like I just want to go on adventures with him all the time. I mean, his
Mm.
life, he's just traveling around with this skull and they just do the most amazing things, and it's so awesome. He's like the real Indiana Jones. It's
Indeed,
crazy.
indeed. Yeah, he was at the Serpent Mound, and that it's there's conferences that are held there that are put on by the Star Knowledge Conference, and I've been brought in as the official mound builder representative. That was Chief Golden Light Eagle's baby. And it was weird because, like you said, I was on the History Channel. They revealed I don't have normal human blood. I was like, well, that's weird. So because of that, I ended up meeting my birth mother and found out for the first time in my life, because obviously I was adopted. I I found out I have Native American Indian heritage. I'm almost pureblood Seneca, which is Iroquois. But anyhow, at that point, I was like, man, it'd be great to meet these elders and chiefs and grandmothers. And I'm thinking, how is that ever going to happen? I'm instant Indian. And sure enough, I met Chief Colin Light Eagle, and he knew. What's interesting is they know that they're hybrids of the Anunnaki. He and the
Wow.
Atlanteans, as it turns out. He said, "Oh, you're from around the Great Lakes area." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Oh, you're one of those Atlanteans, heavy duty." And he walked away. I'm like, all right.
The first time I saw you, I believe it was at Stargate to the Cosmos in New Mexico. I instantly saw that in you. Like I didn't even see your bio or anything yet, and I saw like an Anunnaki Atlantean sort of
Hmm. Well,
connection in you.
you're very perspective. What's the word I'm looking for?
Perceptive?
Yes. I kept getting perspective. I'm like, no, that's not it. Yeah, you're one of the only people that ever walked up to me and you asked me if I was inky. I'm like, well, yeah, actually. So it is what it is. I'm cool with Mike. It's we've all had so many names that names become useless, pointless. But anyhow, the reason that I even brought all this up is Bill Hammond was there with the Mitchell Hedges Crystal Skull, and by the way, Chief Golden Light Eagle said it's over 200,000 years old. And
Wow.
yeah, right. And so Bill contacted me because I guess my name kept coming up, and he looked at it as kind of like the skull reaching out to me and wanting to make contact. And so he also learned that I was in the process of releasing the Hall of Records unknown mount site in East Lake, Ohio. And this mount site is absolutely massive. It takes over a mile to walk around it. And it already has some artifacts that were removed from it by the Smithsonian in the 1970s that tie it to ancient Sumer.
What part of Ohio is it in? I don't know if you want to give up the exact
Oh
location, but
yeah,
I
man,
mean,
I'm an open book, and it's. I'll tell you what though, it's my hometown, East Lake, Ohio. It's a suburb of Cleveland, and it's like two
that's
cities.
northeast Ohio.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's two cities over from Cleveland. You got Cleveland, then you got Euclid, and then you got East Lake. And by the way, East Lake, Ohio, is also the site of the Lake Erie UFOs that I began to be a part of, and why I was on the History Channel and whatnot. Actually, Bigelow Aerospace ended up contacting me in 2011, and they're the ones that were contacted by the Pentagon for this UFO secret program, and they said, we know that you're in contact with the real thing because we've been studying it over the Skinwalker Ranch for a very long time. And I can say that it's interesting because they're like, how come you've had nice interactions with them and been given secrets of the universe? They taught me cosmic harmonious frequencies, which we'll get into, and which will you showed some of my crystal disc work. They will restructure, revitalize, resurrect, however you want to think about it, tap water with energetics that has never been seen before. Yeah. Actually, the one on where it says the energy, right there, the chakra energy healing disc, that's the
That's the
actual
one I
one.
have.
Right on. You got the large one too, if I remember correctly,
Yeah, the
the
small one
6
and
inch
the
version.
large one. When I
Right
first
on.
got it, I was bringing it everywhere with me, and man, the I did an open. So I do this open eye meditation technique that I did in this class for a while when I first got it, and I was doing it with like I'm picturing this as the eye that
Mm-hmm.
from the way when I normally do the practice is left eye to left eye with the person you're doing it with. So I just used this as the eye and did it with it, and it was so wild I almost dropped it.
I can imagine. Yeah, that's a particular disc. I did an interview with Richard Hoagland, and he said, "We know your story sounds batshit crazy, but he works with NASA, and he said NASA's been looking into how energy works multidimensionally for a very long time, and we happen to know that your numbers are right on the money, which is 432 based math and physics. And I know you know what that's about. But interestingly enough, when I got contacted by the Smithsonian, he said, I'm glad that you've tracked the Atlantean race into East Lake, Ohio. Um, and he said I was part of an excavation team that um, took some artifacts out of that mound, and you can find them in the East Lake Indian Museum, which they're there. I've went and looked. And what is on the artifact is the Morning Star. So that's interesting. But
Wow.
so what happened was, Bill contacted me, said, your name keeps coming up. I heard that you are bringing some people to the mound, and I would love to come and bring the skull. So I was like, well, absolutely. That sounds amazing.
And for the radio audience out there, when Bill says something, I mean, he channels the skull. He'll sit there and just channel exactly what the skull is saying. It
Yes.
was really interesting. At one point, we were all doing a meditation at this vortex, and we all had to go around and say something. And I got this message really clearly in my head that I felt like I needed to say. And it was about like creation and like the universe. And I don't know, it was like all this stuff was coming in. And I was about to say it. And then Bill started talking and he's like, the skull is telling me something right now, and he said exactly what was coming in my mind that I
Oh,
needed to
wow.
say. And I'm like, okay, I didn't know that was from the skull. So it's like he's literally just like transmitting messages from the skull. So that's really incredible that he just, called you up and was like, hey, the skull wants to meet you.
Yeah, yeah. It was really profound because, for 4 days, I was with the skull and with Bill and the elders, chief, and everything, and doing ceremony. And it's supposed to unlock hidden history. And it was interesting because when I was with Bill and the skull and the elders on this mound, I got a phone call and it was from Canada. And here I'd filmed a show, and I feel like the Forrest Gump of this stuff. I didn't know what I was a part of, and here the head producer called me and he's like, "I don't think you understand like what you're a part of. That we're going to start teaching star knowledge, which is Native American First Nations contact with star beings for thousands of years at the University of Ottawa. And,
Wow.
and we want to start bringing you in and a team for solstices and equinoxes. But we had filmed a show for the Canadian Public Corporation as well. And I didn't know who I was filming it for. It was at a Star Knowledge conference, which is funny too, because this head producer is like, well, what do you think we should call this movement? I'm like, well, you met us at a Star Knowledge conference. So it's called the Star Knowledge Symposia. And by the way, listeners can check that out as well. Just type in University of Ottawa and Star Knowledge. But anyhow,
Is that an event coming up, you said?
it's already, the show is aired. But, COVID kind of threw a monkey wrench in because they want to start doing kind of like powwows where you can go to the University of Ottawa and they'll have a lot of Native American First Nation elders that you can learn from and whatnot. But
Oh my gosh, I would love to
right
attend
on.
that.
Well, you definitely get an invite. But right now, things are up in the air with not being able to cross the border and whatnot. But yeah, so this all leads back to East Lake, Ohio, because it's home base of the Nephilim, the Anunnaki human hybrids. And boy, there's so much to get into. I know we have limited time, but
Yeah, I just realized I'm like, oh my gosh, we're already almost a half hour in. Okay, we got to get to it.
yeah. But so the Mitchell Hedges Skull is there. We're doing ceremony. I get a call and the guy's like, the program just went live. I'm like, wow, that skull's quick. You know what I mean? It's like it didn't waste any time. But what happened was, first of all, I had my own session, because it was under the same roof with us. And I sat down in front of it. And as you know, no one's allowed to touch it. You can get your hands close, but no touching.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the skull communicated to me, you need to touch your forehead to mine, third eye to third eye. So awkwardly, I'm like, Bill, this skull's telling me I need to touch my third eye to it. And he's like, yes, I know, you have permission. So I did. And what a profound experience, let me tell you. And once I had my third eye to its third eye, I'm like, well, I'm going to open my eyes. And it almost knocked me out of the state of consciousness I was in, because it was like looking into a crystalline world or something. All I seen was crystal. And it was pretty profound. But at this point, the skull recognized me as the peacemaker, which a lot of Western people do not know who the peacemaker is. But it was the Seneca chief who united the Iroquois tribes into peace and harmony hundreds of years ago, and still
that was with White Buffalo Calf Woman, right?
Yes. And history does repeat itself. But so at this point, me and the skull reacquainted, and it actually told me I was part of the group who brought it here in the first place and was part of its creation. And I was like, oh, all right, that's cool. But me and Sarah had a ceremony, and it was one of the most beautiful things. It was like, the whole White Buffalo Calf Woman, she's got heritage from that side.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was almost like the joy of meeting each other again. And not only that, it was like lifetimes of meeting each other, and sometimes it didn't happen. We couldn't find each other, but it was this overwhelming feeling of love. We both were just bawling like babies, but it was beautiful. It was tears of the soul. You know, it was two different types of tears. But anyhow, all this is being filmed for a new documentary that I've now become involved with. And do you know who Ruben Langdon is?
I'm not sure who that is.
He is the producer of Interview with Extra Dimensionals on Gaia, and he's also got a stuntman career on the side. But I get a phone call because what we need to discuss first is if you could put in what I've learned from the Anunnaki. It's all about cosmic harmonious frequencies and aligning oneself with galactic source energy. And it all relates to the seven-pointed star, and in particular the morning star, because the seven-pointed star has now become the evolved morning star.
Would you like me to pull up one of those pictures? Let me
why
know.
not? That might make it easy. Actually, picture 2 would be a great place to start. Picture 1, I believe, was the Mitchell Hedges Crystal Skull. Click down one more. Yeah, see the one that's red? Click on that. What this is an actual scientific device called a cymatics, and it's a cymoscope in particular. And the cymoscope makes the invisible visible for the first time. So what you're looking at is just frequency being pumped through water, and it has a high-tech camera that's on it. Well, you can see specifically this is 4 octaves below 432, but you'd never have a 27 hertz pulse or frequency if you weren't tuned properly 4 octaves above it. So it's 432 based math and physics. It's just 4 octaves lower. What you find out is with frequency, the lower the frequency, the less complicated the geometry is. So if you want nice straight lines and 5-pointed star, 6-pointed star, 7-pointed star, lower frequencies are better because you'll get straight frequency. But the point is 4 octaves below 432 put through a cymatic device. Yeah, look at that perfect 7-pointed star being held in place by nothing but frequency. That's not computer generated, it's Mother Nature. So what you need to, first of all, that's under the Peacemaker tree, by the way, on top of the mound is where I took that photograph personally of the Mitchell Hedges Crystal Skull.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the 432 frequency is intertwined forever into the 7-pointed star. There are 2 different ways of expressing the same thing. But when I met the Anunnaki, they met me because of the History Channel show. They said, we want to talk to you about this blood anomaly that was discovered, and it's an indicator that you're of our hybrid bloodline. And probably don't have time right now to get into exactly what that is. But actually, can you bring that crop circle up again? And can you go one more? Because actually, this is the proper time lag. But yes, when I met them, they said, we were once known in your past as the Anunnaki, and you were known as Ea Enki, the water bearer. And I'm like, well, okay, this is in 2008. I didn't know what an Anunnaki was, and I sure as didn't know what a water bearer was. But now, with NASA actually looking into my work and seeing it does resurrect dead water, now I can look someone in the eye and go, you know what? I am the water bearer. I'd like to see the data. You know?
You didn't even realize that your technology did that until they tested it?
Right.
Oh my gosh,
I was just being guided to make these devices, and it was only until Richard Hoagland got involved and arranged for NASA to look into it. But when I met the Anunnaki and they communicated this, I kind of put a test to them saying, listen, if you are who you say you are and I am who you say I am, prove it. Put the name Ea Enki into a crop circle, and I can tell you I am a student of the subject. and I'll take notice. And this was early 2009. And then I got cocky, though, because honestly, I thought about what I asked them to do. I'm like, how silly. Can you imagine a big crop circle? And it's written inky, like in cursive. It looked like a big birthday cake. I'm like, what the hell is that going to prove? No one would believe it anyhow. But then I thought, well, you know what? Prove it. If you are who you say you are, find out a cool way to do it. So what I can tell you is, see, first of all, it's based on a 7-pointed star. At this point, I had no idea what that was all about. But see how at the end of each point, there's like circle, and then one's filled in, empty, 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 empty.
Yeah.
Then the next one around is like, well, what you find out is that's ASCII binary code for real. And when you decode it, it's IA space inky. So this became
No way.
yeah.
Wow.
So this was in 2011. And so this became very important to me because I viewed it as they did what I asked them to do to prove this connection and who they told me I was. But I asked them also encode it with something only I would be able to decode. I got cocky, kind of. But I found out in this exact same field, this is in Perono, Italy in 2011. In 2010, in the exact same field was another crop circle. And if you can go one backwards, nope, the other way. Yep. This was in the exact same field that the Ia Inky crop circle showed up. And I'm like, well, obviously it's the same author. You know what I mean? But I found out, see these circles with all the dots in it? That's ASCII binary code as well. And when you decode it, it's E equals MC squared. So this led me into a rabbit hole of, I started to understand they were using crop circles multidimensionally to communicate. So I thought, what does E equals MC squared have to do with the inky crop circle? And what had happened was the first symbol, go ahead and go one back further to the red 7-pointed star. Yeah. I'd tracked down every note of the musical scale, but tuned properly to the A being the standard tuned to A equals 432, not 440. And I tracked down every cymatic image of every note, and I created one of my discs out of it. But before I went through this on this particular day, I had made that inky crop circle disc. And so I finished that. I went to this. This was the last of the 7 discs I made. And when I made it, I was like, why does this look so familiar to me? And, I couldn't figure it out. I just, 2 and 2 was not coming together. And finally, after about 10 minutes of staring at this and just not figuring out why it looked so familiar, this voice is like, just let it go, it'll come later. And the minute I stopped trying to figure it out, I looked down and go ahead 2 forward now again. Yep. And I've seen this disc I made with this crop circle, and I've seen the 7-pointed star. I'm like, oh my God, it is encoded with something only I would be able to decode, and that it's related to 432. So I was like, what does 432 have to do with E equals MC squared? And they guided me into understanding that rabbit hole as well. It's actually pretty easy. E equals MC squared. E is energy, M is mass, and C is the speed of light squared. And all of our physics is pretty much based on that Einstein equation. But scientists now tell us both everything is particle and wave. Well, where's the wave component? That's only the particle, mass. M equals mass. So, but what you find out is 432 times 432 equals C. So the good way to understand this is the only frequencies that will plug in to E equals MC squared are 432 based frequencies, because they're the only frequencies that are truly harmonics of light. This is really interesting.
We talked about this on another show, but for some of the audience out there that may not know this, the ex-prime minister of propaganda, Joseph Goebbels, during Nazi Germany, was actually the one who changed the standard concert A tuning of 432 hertz to 440 hertz. So it's actually like a negative agenda all the frequencies you're hearing on your radio is actually harmful for you.
It's the most disharmonious frequency they could have chose. It's strange though, because as you know, 432 to the human ear, it's barely lower, but man, to the universe, it's everything.
Yeah.
But so then I started to understand, the 7-pointed star, 432 hertz, is related to E equals MC squared. And when you run it backwards, 432 frequencies squared becomes C squared times mass equals energy. And so I began to, first of all, I was brought into the NSA, their remote viewers and reverse engineering division secret group. And he told me in this class, this classroom that you're being brought into, you're going to learn about cosmic harmonious frequencies, because you're going to learn to create matter. You need very specific frequencies, but not just specific frequencies and specific combinations, which is a chord, right? So I didn't know what he's talking about then. This is in 2008. And but now I get it, because scientists now, just, I don't know if you've seen this, but they revealed that they found frequencies can create negative mass, which brings negative gravity. It creates anti-gravity. So specific frequencies, when you know what you're doing, yeah, right. I'll send you those science. But then it becomes, well, what frequencies will bring forth the most energy? And when I was working with NASA, I said, well, listen, because what they showed, you know what? I got the picture all the way at the end of this, but what they found was, yeah, why not? Right there. See, this on the left is California municipal tap water with their Curian, it's actually called GDV photography, which records how much photonic light energy is within the droplet of water. It's almost dead. We've killed our drinking water, especially municipal tap water, by chlorine, fluoride, making it take, right-hand turns. But then they took one of the discs that you own and they just put a glass of water on it for 15 minutes. They use it as a coaster, and look at how much energy has come back into the water droplet. So I said to the biophysicist, I said, well, wait a minute. If there's no energy, but now there's tons of energy, where did that extra energy come from? Did it come from our sun? Did it come from our planets, our electromagnetic fields? She said, no, it came from another dimension. And she said, what they found is only when frequencies resolve to 9, meaning 4 plus 3 plus 2 is 9. And then the lower octave, 216, 2 plus 1 plus 6 is 9. It's lower octave, 108, 9, 54, 9, 27, 9. What I've figured out is I took the whole grid of every note of the musical scale when tuned properly. And what I found was, no matter where you're at on your guitar, if you're tuned properly, every single frequency, the proper hertz of that frequency resolves to 9. So that really toasted my noodle in the first place, because
9's an interesting number in numerology.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Now I'm starting to figure it out why, But then what A.R. Borden, the NSA team, told me is, you need specific frequencies and specific combination. So I'm thinking, well, if every note is bringing through energy from another dimension, like this is scientific data in front of you, how would you know what notes to use to make a chord? Because if all of them are bringing through energy, what ones bring through more? And all of a sudden it hit me. It's harmonics, between, as you know, because you're a musician, but along the travel of any note to its octave, there's harmonic vortexes of energy that are on the 5th fret, the 7th fret, and the 12th fret. And so where the note sits on top of a vortex of energy, you're going to get the most energy through. So I'm looking forward
to play around with that.
Yes, right. Create some anti-gravity in your music, right? But so let's go back a little bit, because this is the end result of all this being guided by the Anunnaki. Okay, first of all, you got Ea Inky in there, but do you see bottom, I guess it'd be about 5 o'clock, there is a black circle around that outside edge. One more up. See,
5.
up
Yeah.
at the top of that, there's a big black circle.
This one.
Yep, right there. That tells you an ASCII binary code when to start your decoding of it. So if you went to the next line down, that's E and then A and then space and all the way around Ia Inky. But you see how inside that 7-pointed star, like the outside petal lotus, it looks like 3 stars, like 3 constellations, and then 3, and then 4, and then 4, and then 4, and then 4, and then 5. That's a very specific 7-digit number. And when you type it into Google, you'll find it's called a universal stress protein within human DNA. That stress protein regulates in our DNA how the human body handles outside stressors like viruses.
And this appeared recently. This
is
crop circle.
2011.
Oh, wow.
So I believe what they're telling us is when you make 432 water, that extra energy that's coming from another dimension has coding in it to unlock DNA that will make your body much more resilient to viruses, to solar activity that we're in an increased time of. It's really a miracle, you know. But then go ahead to the next one. Okay. First of all, you see the crescent moon eclipse symbol behind the 7-pointed star?
Oh,
Anytime back in Sumer when you've seen Inky, they would have that crescent symbol above his shoulder. And all of the clay pictorial So when I asked them to encode these crop circles with the name Ia Inky, they did it in a different way in every single crop circle, which is amazing to me. And a lot of this no one knows yet, so I'm glad you're giving me the opportunity. So
this is fascinating.
So you got the 7-pointed star, which, first of all, man, I don't have the disc right now, but another crop circle showed the old, I don't want to say old, but I look at it as caterpillar template for human evolution and existence. The old morning star looks like a compass. It's a 4-pointed star. And interestingly, a couple years prior to this one was another crop circle exactly like this with the eclipse inky moon symbol, but it had the 4-pointed star. So right away I seen this, and this is I was already talking to Ruben Langdon and Bill that the morning star has evolved, and the 7-pointed star is the new morning star. And the reason this is important is when you look at the morning star back in time, the Mayans called it the Lamont. Yeah, the Lamont. And it looks more like the Templar cross, but they had a little bit more understanding, and it was almost like a calendar marker that they're looking for this morning star because it would mark the end of the Mayan calendar, which was 2016. We'll get into that. But that would mark the end of the age of Pisces and the entry into the age of Aquarius. You know what? Let's go ahead to the next one. See these around the outside edge of the 7-pointed star now these are called Mayan Baktuns, which are Mayan calendar long counts. And each one is 144,000 days long. So the whole thing with the Mayan calendar is it ended at the 13th Baktun. And that's why everyone said, oh my God, there's no 14th Baktun. It's the end of the world. Oh, doomsday, That's not it at all. It marks the exit of the age of Pisces and the entry into the age of Aquarius. So really there is no 14th Baktun because it marks the first Baktun of the age of Aquarius. And if you count, there's 14 of these. So it's pretty simple math. I'm like, well.
But you're saying this like Greek lock key pattern is a Baktun?
Yes.
Is that what? Okay.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Wow, I didn't know they were called that.
So if 14 times 144,000 ends up being 20160000000000, it's 2016. This was important to me because I knew 2012 wasn't the end of the Mayan calendar, because the Mayans, the Anunnaki gave us even the system of timekeeping. Look at how many seconds is in 12 hours. It's 43,200 or 432. All of their system of timekeeping is based on 432. And as I said, all 432 base numbers resolve to 9. So I'm sitting there watching the movie 2012, actually having a panic attack. I think it was bringing back cellular memory or something. And all of a sudden, I'm like, wait a minute, that's a 5. 2012, it couldn't have been the end of the Mayan calendar, because it's not how they counted time. And I just went forward and I got to 2016, because at this time, 2016 was in the future. I'm like, 2016 has to be the accurate ending of the Mayan calendar, because it resolves in 9. Sure enough, this it's almost like a lock key system. It's showing you the 7-pointed star, the new morning star, with the accurate date of entry into the age of Aquarius. And this is it,
2016 was definitely an interesting year too. I really feel that's like when things really seem to shift energetically in the world.
Yes, that's when I was actually brought into the halls of Amenti, Toth, and I was brought before the council. And well, I guess good chance we wouldn't be talking. I'd like to say it wasn't very difficult, but yet very difficult, because the dark are very tricky, the trickster, right? But I, with a little help from my friends, because I didn't do it alone. I had some friends, but I chose correctly. That shuts the system down. It only takes one to get vetted by the light and the dark and choose properly, which means really just caring about your brother and sister, and not giving your energy and your I am away to an illusionary outside source, because you will be tested. And if you give your energy away to illusionary outside sources, you're not ready for higher realms. So, what the chief had told me is, he said, this is all about self-inflicted suffering through one's own free will. That
Wow.
if you give up your I am and you say, give it permission, well, you get a do-over, right? People are like, oh, don't go into the light. It's a false trap. It's like, no, it's only if you give your energy away, and then you're not ready. It's just that simple.
It sounds a lot like, what comes up a lot when I do interviews with people, and the divine feminine is brought up, because the divine feminine energy is about your own personal connection with the divine. And, it's interesting moving into the age of Aquarius. Is there a connection with that?
Absolutely. And, we've totally went into a male ego-driven, we need the feminine to come back. But the truth of the matter is, it needs to be balanced.
Mm-hmm.
Too far one way or too far the other way. It needs to be balanced. But
I heard there's the matriarchal society, a patriarchal society, but then there's matriistic, which I heard is like the balanced form.
I like that. I didn't know that.
No, but the focus of my presentation is usually ends up being on communities, but it's solutions for humanity, but it always goes back to community. So it's something that kind of comes up a lot.
Chief had said at the end of this that, one of the things that he planned on doing was, he said we would be moving into a brand new ceremony, which would be a moon dance, and respect the feminine and bring, love of the feminine aspect. What's interesting with this as well, though, and how it's all connected, again, Inky was known as Poseidon, the guy holding.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's the water bearer, and the guy holding the buckets of water, right, is Aquarius. That's Inky. Every time you see Inky back in Sumer, he's holding the bucket of water, or either water erupting from his shoulders with fish coming out, or he would be holding pitchers or buckets of water, that is the symbol of Aquarius, is the guy holding a bucket of water. So again, they've encoded Inky into this crop circle as well, every single one. What happened at this time? How much time do we have left, by the way?
We have about 10 minutes left.
Oh, good. I think I can blow through this.
Awesome.
I'm sitting there, and obviously they've been blasted me with knowledge about cosmic harmonious frequencies and how it all revolves around the seven-pointed star. So one night, I was laying in bed, and they're like, this voice is like, you got to get up and divide a circle by 7. I'm like, how about I'm going to sleep? It's like, no, you've learned nothing. You need to get up and do this. So I did. It ends up 360, which is a circle. 360 divided by 7 is 51.428. And this is really important. First of all, I'm like, well, so what? And they said, well, first of all, 51.428 is perfectly 1/7 away around a circle. So in your third eye, imagine a circle being like a highlighter going around 1/7 of the way around the circle. Doesn't matter if you're totally accurate for this experiment, but then let the rest of the circle fall away. So you only have that arc, the 1/7 away around an circle arc. And they said to me, Michael, this is the Ark of the Covenant. It was never an ARK, it's an ARC. And so at that point, they bring up a mirrored version of itself, and it comes up and meets itself, creating an eye shape, right? And I'm like, well, that's interesting. And then instantly, I'm like, you know what I want to see is a 7-pointed star made out of those Ark of the Covenant arcs, And so go ahead to the next one, because this showed up the very next day in the UK. See how, but it was almost a test.
Wow.
See, they're only showing me half the arc. The other half of the arc is hidden. So they really wanted to ask me, do you really understand what's being communicated to you? And I figured it out, by the way. But at this point, first of all, 51.428, I'm just going to blow through this, is the actual longitude line of planet Earth that goes through Avebury and Stonehenge, where all the crop circles are showing up. This showed up along that 51.428, which is totally forever tied to a 7-pointed star, right alongside. But guess what? That longitude line also is a ley line, and it's called St. Michael and Mary's ley line that goes through the UK. And so then what I found out is, see this black border around the outside of that arc? In Gnostic, that's called the seal of the 7 archangels. And who's the head of the 7 archangels is Michael. And it also surrounds Ea, that Ea Inky crop circle. What they're telling me, which, this is not my bag at all, but Archangel Michael and Ea Inky are one and the same. And I was wondering about this, because I would walk into a Star Knowledge conference and Chief Golden Light Eagle would go, oh, Archangel Michael is here. And I'm looking around going, who's he talking about, But sure enough, St. Michael and Mary's ley line is 51.428, which is 1/7 away around a circle, and 7-pointed stars are showing up there. And the 7-pointed star is created from the 432. They're all intertwined. And it's a big key lock system once you start to understand it. But go ahead and go to the next one here. This is not a crop circle, but it was my answer to them. Actually, one more, and we'll go back to that one. Yeah, that's the full symbol. And if you can remember the old Seed of Life, which creates the Star of David, the Merkaba shape, it had 6 petals. Mm-hmm. And that's how you get, this has 7 petals, and it's all feminine. A straight line is masculine, and curved lines in sacred geometry are feminine.
And here's the star right here in the center.
And actually, it just keeps repeating. Right there's the star, and then the eye shape is another 7-pointed star. But then there's actually like whole lotuses. Then is another 7, and then the outside circles are 7 circles. This is a brand new Seed of Life. This is 5th dimensional sacred geometry that mankind is going to evolve into. I look at the old, I don't want to call it old, but the old Seed of Life that is created by 7 circles again. this gets really weird, because imagine if you take a circle and divide it by 7, you get 51.428. But take that same circle and multiply it by 7, 1 in the middle, 6 around creates the old seed of life, where it creates the Star of David, the Merkaba shape. But if you take that exact same ingredients, and this is 7 around, it's the Ossauros, like the snake eating its own tail. Now you get a brand new seed of life from the exact same building blocks. I look at it as the old 6-petaled seed of life version, that once you go to 19 circles, it makes the flower of life. This one, which is really interesting, go back one now. This crop circle showed up this year, by the way, yes. Bear Cloud, an Indian elder, said, once we understand that the 7-pointed star recreates itself fractally as a whole unit, forward and backwards, that we would enter a new time for mankind. And that's exactly what this crop circle is showing us. This was 2021, by the way, this season. And it is showing that, the old seed of life, it's 7, 1 in the middle, 6 around. Then you got to add 19 to get to the next whole symbol, which is the flower of life. But look at this. The next whole symbol that recreates itself is just another 7, and then another 7. What's weird with this too, fractally, you really can't tell if it's facing up or down. And if you flew into this as a tunnel, you would just see another 7-pointed star.
Oh my gosh. When I was looking at just now, I had that sensation of like shooting through a tunnel.
Yeah.
It was really wild to look at.
Yeah. So I look at the seed of life that creates the 3D caterpillar human existence as just exactly that. Go ahead and go to the next one again.
We have about 2-3 minutes left, by the way.
Cool, right on. Well, you know what? We got through it. This is the butterfly template for sacred geometry. Imagine how much more freedom the human race has to now know itself in all ways, because you got to know that old seed of life, it's everything in our reality, from an atom to galaxies, are adhering to that flower of life. The flower of life contains all sacred geometry. This is a whole other step of freedom, expression, and it's all feminine. So, but why is it all important? Go ahead and go to the next one. This is why it's important. It'll lead mankind into a new energy. This is bringing photonic light energy. Wait till mankind sees what happens when you use this water for gardening and agriculture. It grows unbelievably. It's impervious to drought, and the nutritional value of the actual vegetable. If you take a bite of an apple, you'll get over twice the nutritional value out of every bite that's made with 432 water. And it's healing. We're made of water, 70 to 90% water. Imagine if all the cells in your body now have high octane fuel to bring in energy at a cellular level. This is going to change the world.
Wow. Thank you so much, Michael. We only have about 40 seconds left. So that was quite the show. It looks like you got everything in there. Oh my gosh. I am blown away. This was very fascinating. Sorry to the audience out there. I can't go through your comments and really close out the show, as this is streaming on the radio. I have to go ahead and end it now.
Peace.
And that just ended with the radio. So I couldn't properly close that out, but whatever. So thank you so much to my YouTube audience. Thank you so much for coming on to tonight's show. And again, if you want to check out Michael's healing devices, this is the healing disc. You can go to michaelleehill.net, and here's the site right here.
Yep.
And again, if you want to check out my art and help support my show, you can go to shamanspears.com and check those out. And I hope to see some of you. Yeah, you have the most interesting one I probably ever made.
Mhm.
Michael here, he has one that has the end of it is a stone that was collected at the bottom of the Pyramid of Giza. So yeah, he got a very special one, and I
Wow,
just
I'm
gave it to
honored.
him. When I saw it, I don't know what I was like I feel like you need this. Oh well, but you gave me some discs for it, so it was a good trade.
I believe so. It was meant to be.
Definitely. I
Well, I
want to
know.
go to one of these conferences that you're talking, the Star Knowledge conferences or the symposium. I
In
would love
Canada,
to
yeah.
connect with some Native American elders because I haven't really done that very much. Oh, I've kind of done that in some events around here lately, and I would love to do that some more.
It's sad that Chief just dropped his robe, so I don't know what's going on with it in the States. But the Canadian movement should be still a thing. So I'll let you know.
Well, I'm not sure if I can get to Canada right now because of
Yeah.
the
Well,
situation at
yeah,
hand,
that's what
but
everybody, right? We
hopefully they
just
can
need to
make
get
something happen
everyone
here.
smoking weed and taking CBD oil.
Yeah,
It
seriously.
might just heal the whole planet. Everyone will just chill. Hey, it's not so bad.
Yeah. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning into tonight's show. And again, if you want to check out the radio app, go ahead and subscribe to Aftermath FM. There's a lot of amazing show hosts on there, and it was good to see the audience again. I haven't been on here for a while, so it was nice to see everyone. I do have some shows on Tuesdays. You can look at my social media to find the information on that. And I am here on Aftermath FM every Wednesday. So hopefully, also I would definitely recommend going back and checking out my older interviews with Michael Lee Hill here, and he has his own YouTube channel. And oh, do you have any final words of where everyone can find you and everything before we go?
MichaelLeeHill.net is my website, and that's where you can purchase my healing crystal discs. My YouTube channel is Michael Lee Hill. That's about it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on here with us tonight, Michael. It was a very fascinating show.
Thank you for having me, and have fun at the conference.
Thank you
And
so
safe
much.
journeys.
Appreciate it. Until next time on Apollo's Odyssey. Over and out. See you next Wednesday.
Peace.
Bye, guys.